Hello, lovely people. I have something I really would love to share with you guys. So, as many of you may know or may not know, one of my favorite books of all time is this book right here, A Course in Miracles. At some point I would like to share my story of how this came into my life because it truly is nothing short of miraculous and all that it has brought. I would literally be going insane without the contents and the understandings that I have been receiving of really understanding the universal application that we really are all one and there only is love, and that's the only thing that possibly can exist. So, which brings me to what I wanted to share. So, I'm entitling this video One Problem. And in that understanding is if there's only one problem, then there only is one solution. And this is a really core, important understanding for us to have. For us to get that no matter what our perception is of the situation, it does not necessarily reflect what is real. So, as part of doing the course, there are daily lessons. And how they work is that there's 365 of them, so there's one for each day of the year. So myself and my best friend Britt and a bunch of other wonderful souls have all joined together, and we've been doing the course since January 1st, and there's a daily lesson. So today we're on lesson 79. And this lesson is let me recognize the problem so that it can be solved. And so this is the core, how the lessons work is that you have a core lesson, and then it elaborates on the elements within that. So for example, yesterday was let miracles replace all grievances, which was so powerful and so perfect. All of these are so perfectly timed. It very much is mind-boggling, and that the concepts are building upon themselves, right? That we learn that this world is merely a result of our perception, that we are creating everything that we are experiencing, and that we have a choice of whether we want to see miracles or we want to see grievances. So, miracles obviously are a lot more fun than grievances. But today I so wanted to share for many reasons, because this is like the core of why we seek anything, right? We think that we have problems that need solving, right? And it was interesting because before I read this lesson today, I had in my mind thinking about the things that would keep me in a state of heaviness, that would make me feel like things are less than perfect. And those come in the forms of health, right? That not only my own health, but the health of others and the minds of others, of how insane people are and how sane they think they are, but yet they're actually crazy, and how much division there seems to be in this world, blah, 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 blah. And then recognizing that as my mind was thinking about those things, that why that feels uncomfortable is because it feels like there's a million issues, right? So, as it said, there's a specific part in this lesson that talks about this, that it would seem that no one could ever solve all these problems of the world, that they seem to be on so many levels, in such varying forms, and with such varied content, that they confront you with an impossible situation. Like, it feels absolutely impossible. Especially since when you feel like you have to do it yourself, right? That you feel that you have the answer and you have to tell the whole world. Of course that feels like a very daunting task. Of course it feels immensely impossible, right? And so it goes on to say, like, what sort of emotions we get from that. This feeling of dismay, this feeling of now maybe even wanting to deny the world, all of this sort of thing. That it feels so complex, and that's very despairing, right? But all this complexity is actually keeping us from really seeing what the issue is. So this lesson actually starts off with the concept of how can you know that you have the solution when you don't even know what the problem is. And once you become aware of what the problem is and that the solution is already given, how much freedom comes from that, right? And the realization that it's already here, and all we now have to do is accept it, right? So, it's interesting. Personally, like, how many ways in which my mind would want to think that there's problems and things that aren't perfect and things that need to be fixed, right? And I was at a gathering this morning, and the mantra sort of was that we are not broken and therefore do not need to be fixed. We are perfect, and that never changes. Our perception of it changes, but that is all. What we are and who we are never changes. And thank God for that. But the part that really stuck out to me, so with the course lessons, it will give you a concept and we'll discuss it, and then it offers ways in which to apply it, right? So which often requires you to sit still and to sit with the concept and allow it to be shown to you, because what the Course in Miracles is it's a course of self-study. It's a personal experience, because that's the only way that revelation can be received, is through a personal experience that cannot be related through words. And people try to, with well intentions, but really a revelation is intended for that who received it, and then you act from it, and that's where the sharing comes in, right? The actions that come from that, the new mindset that has been created as a result of the revelation, right? So, but the part that really stuck out to me that I felt that I really needed to share was that, and so speaking about the exercises, that the exercises for today will be successful to the extent to which we do not insist on defining the problem. And that's huge for so many reasons. And I put a big star here, and I wrote success equals not defining. And so that's huge, because that is complete and total opposite of what we perceive as being the way to solve a problem in this world. We think that we even go through courses, we go through programs that would teach us that you need to sit with a problem and hash it out, figure out all the elements, get it worked out, have it on paper, think of all the aspects of it, right? That we think that we can't truly resolve an issue until we've hashed it all out and figured out all the elements of it that need to be solved, and that each individual one needs to be solved in sequence. So while that may be the way that we apply solutions, it doesn't mean it's the way that we receive the ultimate healing that would let us know that things are already perfect where they are. So what I'm talking about is that we can spend so much time, and I can speak to this personally. This is why I'm compelled to do a video, because this has been something I've been struggling with, that just creating issues for myself and perceiving issues where they're not at all. In the world, in my relationships, in my life, it's just silly, and I feel like I've been going through this so that I can then extend it to others, and show and the recognition, the excitement that I feel, and so immense gratitude. I want to cry. Such immense gratitude that the solution is already within us, and that solution is that all is holy, all is love, all is perfect, all is God, whatever you want, however you want to word it, right? So there's one problem, and that is separation. That's the only problem. And our mind will perceive that and create that into a million different platforms. But there only is one problem. That's our separation, or the perception that we could be possibly separate from what we really are in our Creator, and all the ways that manifests. So there's one solution: to come back to the awareness that all is exactly as it was created. One. Unified. God. So what it's speaking about here when it's saying that your success is dependent upon not defining, because what defining is creating more separation. Defining, right? Making it more separate and unique to the rest, right? And so we actually want to move away from that type of understanding. It's really, really, really important to move away from that understanding, as tempting as it is, because that's not where the resolution is. The resolution is unifying. And that is something that we need to now know is an option for us, that we can actually unify our thoughts back to truth, back to creation. And then from that place, then yes, we start to get the solutions to the perceivably separate issues. But the initial true resolution comes from understanding everything already is solved, everything already is perfect. That you will not get success by defining it and pulling it out and looking at it. It's actually through coming within and feeling what is true. That is where true solution comes from. So, and as it's saying here as well, that All that is necessary is that we entertain a doubt that our perceptions of our different versions of problems, that's not reality. Right? So it's saying to entertain some doubt about the reality of our version of what our problems are. So some of us have a short list, some of us have a whole book of issues that we would perceive within our own lives and other lives and around the world, right? So they are already solved. They are already solved, and we need only now to receive that awareness. And then from that core, then it's like reinserting a whole new operating system. Like, all is already solved. Everything is figure-outable. Everything is perfect. From understanding that at the core, then from there, we can start to solve the other perceivable issues. But you have to come back to the core first and know that you're not broken and you do not need fixed. And that has to be the core, and you cannot too often come back to that understanding first. That's the only thing that will truly ever set us free. And that because that's the only thing that is reflective of actual real truth. That it's not about pulling it out and hashing it out. It's about sitting in stillness and knowing it is already here. There was another lesson a couple days ago. The light has come. I have forgiven the world. The light has come. That is present tense. It is here now. The light has come here now. And you extend that further by saying, I have forgiven the world. I have corrected my perception, because that's what forgiveness means. That's its definition. Forgiveness is correction of perception. I have corrected my perception of the world. Thank you. Thank you that this is offered to us. And thank you that we can share this. And thank you to you for watching. I'm so happy to share. Because it could be such heaviness. It could be such immense heaviness. If we were to pull everything out and think they were all separate. Like, of course, some of us are miserable. But then when we have the true answer given to us, that all is already solved and it is already within, but we just need to be aligned with it and accept it. To perceive is actually to accept. That's what it actually means, to accept it. So receive that understanding. Doubt the other beliefs that you would hold of what reality is of this world. Do you really want to believe in a separate world? That it's dog eat dog and hierarchies and all this judgments and all of this? No. It doesn't lead us anywhere. We've learned this in many, many ways. So there is another way. But that's the thing. It's a whole other thought system. So there's a whole complete thought system of duality and polarity and what we call the ego. And there's a whole complete thought system aligned with the Holy Spirit, your higher self, God, Creator, universe, whatever you want to call it, Spirit. There's a whole complete thought system that needs no opposite. It does not need evil to assert that it is good. It does not need any polarity. It does not need any duality. It is whole and complete in and of itself. And it is a whole way to operate, which is why you can't be in both. It's one or the other. And each and every single moment is a choice between the two. So, with that, I love you all so very much. And thank you so very much for holding space for me to share. And that's all for today. Love you all. Thank you. Bye.